Hey everyone, a couple things. First of all, we would love to get feedback from you all so we can do topics that you would like us to talk about. And also, to be quite honest with you, if you want to skip about the first 4 minutes of this podcast, I wouldn't blame you at all. Kyle's messing with his audio. We're not talking about much. So, just fair warning there. If you have suggestions or topics you'd like us to cover, please email us at okayestmtb@gmail.com or reach out on our Facebook page for the World's Okayest Mountain Bike Podcast. Thanks for listening, and here's our episode.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the World's Okayest Mountain Bike Podcast. And no, we did not get this done by March 9th, but we are getting it done in March, so we'll call it a B plus, at least for us.
I think that's the goal though, like just one per calendar month.
I guess so. If you're new to the show, that was the voice of a man named Kyle Krangle. The only racer among us, it seems these days. Somehow, he's the one that gets to the most. I don't know. It's all wrong. Everything's wrong. Nothing makes sense anymore. I'm Clinton Sylvie, usually the host, and we also have our other regular on here as usual, Ryan Brown. How's it going, Ryan?
I'm doing good. I think it's nice. It's the weather's getting better, although it rained all day yesterday. So I think we're just getting closer to more riding going on and more people getting out the trails. So I think the fact that we kind of had that early season like jump in the weather, and then it didn't get bad, but it got a little rainy, a little colder, like it should have been this time of year anyway. And we kind of went into a little stalemate with riding, so we didn't talk as much about riding. And now we're getting back there. Kyle has some to tell us, and I think we'll get back in this podcast groove. So, yeah, I'm doing good. I got some discussion topics that we'll get into, so I think that's good.
All right, hang on. I got to unmute Kyle. Hang on just a second. If I can figure out how to do that. I muted Kyle for just a second. Was getting a little feedback here. And now I just removed him from the call. So let me call him back. Trying to unmute him, I ended up booting him. I'm a really good producer, everyone. Really good. I feel a little bad about that, but it wouldn't let me unmute him. Once I muted him, I couldn't unmute him.
And I think we dream of the day we actually have a podcast studio and we're all together just in studio podcasting.
Well, you two are going to have to move down to God's country to make that happen, because I am not coming to the city. No, thank you. Been there, done that. Every time I come up to see you guys, if it is remotely near rush hour, I get angry. So I can't do it. I can't move back to the city. Kyle, go ahead and speak. Let's see if we can hear you now.
You guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
No, it's
I don't
not
know
working.
if you can hear us.
It's not working.
Kyle's having some earbud issues. Well, while Kyle's sorting that out, Ryan, let's not just sit here and wait. So, we got a couple topics today. Kyle went racing, so we might. He's telling us to hold on.
So yeah, hold on. So how does my audio sound now?
It's
better.
Is that better?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
Better than it was? All right, cool. I got it figured out. We got this.
Yeah, it's all good. When you're not talking, it's fine. We're not, as long as we don't get a. Let's put it this way: if you're not actually talking, try to be real quiet, because then the mics don't pick up.
That's
okay.
all.
Well, I got my. I'm so sorry, listeners. You're gonna go through this. I got my earbud situation sorted out though.
Okay, well, this is the World's Okayest Mountain Bike Podcast, so I can assure you I will not fix this in the editing process.
Oh.
But this is real,
right.
you know.
Let's
Hey,
return to the podcast.
This is what you get for not having to sort through or listen to 5 to 10 minutes of advertising during the pod. This is the price you pay.
Just a bunch of IT hacks fumbling through technology.
Yes, exactly. All right. So Kyle raced his bike this week as probably the person with the fewest miles since the BT Epic in the region.
Clint, I sold that bike I rode the BT Epic on with BT Epic dirt still on it. I did not ride that bike a single day after the BT Epic. I didn't hardly pedal a bike at all. I'll be honest. By the time the BT Epic came and went, I was done riding bicycles. So I think after the BT Epic, maybe I got another 50 miles for the year. And then the race on Sunday was my third pedal of 2024.
So real quick, now we're not going to go through an entire race review on this one. We've reviewed the Chubb Enduro in different ways over the years, but
this was my first Chubb Enduro. I've never raced it.
Really?
Well, remember the year that I decided that I was going to race it would have been last year or the year before. Me and you pre-rode together, and then I woke up with a stomach flu on race day.
Yeah, you just didn't want Bryce to beat you in his first race. That's what really happened.
That's really what happened.
Though I have to say, so I went up and rode with Kyle on Friday, and because I knew I couldn't race it this year, but I needed to get to the city to get some. My kids got new bikes for their birthday. They just turned 5 yesterday.
Woohoo!
Right.
So I took a bike up so I could ride with Kyle because he wasn't going to be able to pre-ride on Saturday. And I didn't race the Chubb this year. I decided, I didn't feel ready. I raced the pro class last year. Didn't do that great, but I did do fast enough. I would have won the expert. So I felt like, I can't drop classes in 1 year, but I'm not ready to compete at all. But I'll be ready for, Shepherd or whatever. And when I pre-rode with Kyle, I was actually pretty mad because, in my opinion, this might be the best. This was probably for the stages they had. I think, and from what I've heard from other people who raced it, this was the most fun Chubb Enduro they've ever done. They took out a lot of what I would call unnecessary pedaling on a couple stages, and then added 2 new ones that were exclusive just to the event that covered a solid amount of vert and were very unique and interesting on the other side of the highway. So what did you think, Kyle? I mean, you've never raced it before, but to be honest with you, I think you got a little bit of an easy way out compared to what it's usually like.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was good and bad that we pre-rode it because we only fully rode 3 stages, and then we rode up 1 stage, and then we looked at another stage, and then we didn't even look at a whole other stage. And I'll be honest, by the time I came to stage starts, I was just like looking around, like asking people, is this the one with this feature and stuff? But the new stuff they added was pretty cool. It was a lot of vert. So the hill was actually 375 foot of vert, and we were able to use 345 foot of vert on it. And most of it was pretty traditional enduro. It was just techie and steep and weird and kind of off camber. I mean, it was kind of everything. And then it went through some old ruins of buildings from the early 1920s, 1910s, I think.
Wrong.
And
maybe. I don't know when they were built, but I know what they were. I found out what. So I don't think they were that old. Maybe they were, but Famous Bar Company that became, I guess, Dillard's or whatever. You remember Famous Bar when you were a kid?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, so
in Macy's.
Did it become Macy's or Macy's bought it? Okay.
No. J.C. Penney became Macy's. Famous Bar became Dillard's.
Wrong. Jason.
Well, the guy that invented Macy's, his first store was out in Leadville, Colorado. I know because I was just out there. But whatever, big department store. Okay. They built like a big summer retreat center, like mansion out on that hill. So we were riding through the ruins of that. Apparently, we were jumping off the old tennis courts.
Okay.
Now, you can't tell what it was now. You just know there was something up there.
Yeah, because there's foundations everywhere.
Yeah.
And there's sections of buildings that exist, but it's old. I mean, it's new enough to be concrete. It new enough to be concrete and not just stonework, but old enough to be not identifiable as anything.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't tell what it was, but you're like, we're climbing up a paved road here. Like, clearly I'm on
Formally paved.
old asphalt. Steep though, like
Super steep. Yeah,
you
no,
go-
and they
you don't
had
waste
one
any
honest.
distance getting to the top of that hill. I mean, it's straight up.
Yeah, and then they had one honest step down jump with a transition landing. It just happened to work out. Like they didn't build it that way, but that little kicker off the like 5-foot wall into that little roller down, like that was actually I nailed that in practice or on the race day. I felt so smooth on it. And then that stage still had a ton of pedaling. All the stages had way more pedaling than I'm fit enough for. And then I had a couple foot downs, a couple bobbles. It didn't really cost me a whole lot of time in the scheme of things. One of them took me off a line that I probably would have gained a second if I could have gotten to, but I didn't. So I lost the ability to gain a second. It wasn't a big deal. And then I had one full-blown crash, like off the bike, dumped the bike over. And it was in a section trying to do something that I probably knew I shouldn't have tried to do on race day. But it was that real weird 120-degree corner where it cuts around like super, super tight. Like, and by the time I got there, I'd already made up my mind what I was going to do, but it was kind of either A, retaped, or B, the tape was torn down. And I had a lot more room on the backside of the bike that I probably could have ridden wider and cut the line around better and just roll through it. But instead, I tried to do that like nose pivot maneuver, and it was all blown out and loose and loamy, and it wasn't the same as it was when we went through in practice. And I definitely dumped the bike over there. I'm sure there will be there was a photographer there snapping photos of me laying my bike over and then trying to pick it back up. So I'm sure those photos will emerge at some point.
Yeah, I can't wait to see those.
Yeah, as I'm laying on the ground with one foot still clipped in and I can't get my foot unclipped. Yeah, one of those crashes.
So yeah, I know there was a lot of pedaling, especially but I'm just telling you, compared to other Chubb years, it's not there was not as much. So I'm a little disappointed. If I could go back in time, I would reorganize and we'd reschedule the kid's birthday party for a different day and all that stuff. But I just didn't. I just wasn't ready. I didn't feel ready. Didn't think I was going to be ready. So I told my wife, like, we can go ahead, have their party on Sunday, whatever. But I'll be at Shepherd. We're gonna have, of course, I'm kind of have a half of mine that I'll probably be at Shepherd and get a phone call while I'm on the mountain from my wife saying she's going into labor and have to just bail out early on that one anyway. But it's a very real possibility. Due date's May 5th. Shepherd's April 21st. And just looking at my beautiful wife, I don't know if she's going to make it all the way to 40 weeks. There's a lot of room in there because she had twins before, so this baby's living in a mansion. So I don't know what's going to happen there. But I would like to do St. Gnarls in June, but that's really all going to depend on just how smoothly and how easily things are going with a newborn in the house.
Yep.
But,
see, I'm finally at a place in my racing career where I would mean, like, because Clint, you talk about being prepared to be competitive, like that is absolutely not where I was at. I've gained 8 pounds in the past 4 weeks.
Those are rookie numbers. Those are rookie numbers. You gotta get those numbers up.
Clint, that's a lot. That's a lot of weight in a 4-week window. And I have not been riding or doing anything and just eating pure garbage all day, every day, and consuming more canned beverages than I ever have. And none of it's good. It's all terrible. So I was absolutely not in any kind of a race shape, but I'm finally in a position with my racing and race results where I'm long past having anybody being aware that I was ever competitive at all. And I don't care about the results anymore. Like I'm racing in a class with a bunch of guys that I fit pretty well in, and I just don't care about the results. And it's an excuse for me to ride my bike, because if I wasn't racing Chubb, me and you wouldn't have pre-ridden Chubb on Friday, and I wouldn't have ridden my bike at all, and I would have just continued to probably gain weight and do nothing. But instead, I changed my diet for a week. I ate a little bit cleaner, ate a little bit healthier. I drank more water than I normally do. You know what I mean? For me, it's almost just a date on a calendar that forces that forces healthy decision making. And regardless of me being prepared or not prepared to race, it works out.
All right, Ryan, I think you can make the call on this. As I was sitting and listening to Kyle, and I was hearing myself come out of his voice at this kind of situation, is it time we place a ban on the podcast about talking about how unhealthy we are and how unprepared we are for what we do? Because this is and I'm more guilty about this than Kyle is. Okay, I'm not calling out Kyle, but I'm realizing we maybe just need to put a ban on this. It's kind of like in motocross, Adam Cincerillo's like, I don't want to talk about my arm anymore. Like, it's not changing. We're talking it to death.
I mean, let's face it, not professional racers, so I think it's not it would be expected that we're probably not in shape.
Okay, well, here's the last thing that's related to this that I thought about bringing up on this podcast is I think we need to, for my sake, we need to revive a BT Epic bet. I'm gonna do it this year. You know, I'm not gonna beat Ryan. That's not even gonna be the goal.
Why not?
But I need a time goal because I did 6.5 hours last year and you did like 5.5 or something. What was your time?
5:42, I think.
Okay, I don't think I'm beating that. Like, I don't see how I'm gonna have. Well, what's gonna have to change is I'm gonna have to start waking my behind up early in the morning.
Yes.
And I said behind because yesterday I was telling my sister how to do squats and I said the word butt and my son heard me and he goes, "You tell me not to say butt." So now I'm saying behind. Okay. Anyway.
All right. Bring your kids.
I've have to get my behind up early in the morning to train because life is not going to permit. Well, it might actually because my kids are going to start kindergarten in August.
Yeah.
So that might free up some days if I have a day off in the middle of the week, which usually I'd take one, because I work on Sundays most all day. I might be able to get some miles in.
There you go.
Anyway, what's a time that you would be comfortable thinking I can take Clint's money on this time?
So I'm just betting that you don't get in a certain time.
I think that makes more sense than me beating you straight up. Okay, we could each set a time goal, and if we don't meet it, we got to pay the other, or we can cancel out our debts.
We got to think that the listeners can bring something.
Maybe we'll let the listeners pick our times, like our goals.
Like the spread or something. Like we need to bet on the spread.
The spread. Okay, yeah, that'll work. That'll work.
Because me just saying, well, you're not going to hit it, like, that's not really a bet.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
We'll put it out to the listeners, but I don't know. What do you think? Maybe like half an hour? I mean, you beat me by more than that last year.
Ryan, just for reference, I'm just curious, what was your time in 22?
It was right behind me. So
6:18, right, Clinton?
So you cut off almost an hour off your time, or 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 30 minutes.
32 minutes. So wherever.
32, yeah.
32.
He was like a minute. Yeah, he was like a minute or 50 seconds or something behind me in 22.
Man, that's
and
awesome.
I did worse. I did like 13 minutes worse in 23. But then you cut off half an hour. I mean, I don't know. We'll move on. We'll put it out to the listeners. But I'm thinking maybe half an hour.
I like where we're headed on it, though.
Okay. Yeah. I know you want to do something. I know you like that. So, and it will motivate me. I need to know there's money on the line to get motivated.
All right. All right.
You guys couldn't pay me, and you couldn't pay me enough to do that race again this year.
Okay, but Ryan has a rant. Well, I don't know if rant's the right word, but there's an issue.
I'll get to the rant in a second. I did want to throw out, I got to ride River Bluffs Park last week in St. Joe, Missouri. Northwest.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, so I was traveling for work. I have an account up there in St. Joe, and actually my account owns the bicycle shop there in St. Joe, and I've gotten to know the manager of the bicycle shop pretty well. Awesome dude. His name's Blake Hop. Really cool dude. I told him I was heading out, and he goes, "Hey, I'll give you the Grand Tour of River Bluffs Park." And I was like, "Hey, I'm on my XC bike." Blake's actually a super fit XC rider as well. He's done BT under 5 hours.
Oh wow.
But he said, "I'll give you the Grand Tour." I'm like, "Hey, I'm bringing my XC bike. That's all I got." He goes, "Great. We got some awesome XC stuff to check out." Anyway, he gave me the Grand Tour, and I had a blast. So it's got some great flow stuff into it with some tables and some small doubles that great for doing on my Epic Evo. It's really a cool place. I probably only saw about half the runs. And it's worth a weekend trip. If you guys want to go somewhere different other than just Bentonville, by all means, go check out St. Joe, Missouri. They've got some awesome trails there. I will say this though, bring your climbing legs. I don't think they have any shuttle service stuff, and all the climbs they're steep. They're short, but they're steep. So, but super cool place. Very well built, very well marked as far as knowing where you're going and all that. So I just wanted to throw that out there because I was super impressed by the.
And you'd never ridden there before?
I did ride there a year ago, but
Okay.
I was kind of by myself. So I was just kind of exploring by myself. So I didn't.
Okay.
You know how that is, navigating and trying to find your way through the place. So this time I got the Grand Tour and got to see all the cool runs and all that. So it was really, really neat. So
That's awesome.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I got a rant, and I get it. Everything in our world is like, technology evolves, and it's like one company invents something and another company just kind of copies it. And I get that happens. I'm okay with that. It's when a company tries to claim it as like this new grand technology they invented. Okay. And it's really two things have come to light in the bike industry the last week or so that just almost drive me bonkers about this. And the first is 120 mil XC bikes with the high pivot. Like, what the heck? Every company's like, "Oh, we invented it." They all look identical. Like,
who's doing it? Who's doing an XC high pivot bike?
Well, it's Norco. It's not truly XC. It's more like short. It's more like trail bike, but it's like a 120, 140 high pivot.
Yeah, I don't know if it's called. Maybe I'm not calling it high pivot right, but like where the shock is follows the same trajectory as the top tube. Is that high pivot?
No. High pivot's where you got an idler. The chain goes like that.
Oh, never mind. No. Not that.
You're talking about the new Yeti with flex stays and a.
That's just a single pivot frame.
I mean, like it's the same thing. In fact, Yeti's advertising, if you've seen it, it's like got the screen and it shows it's an Epic Evo, but they blurred out the logo on it, and then they take and they scan across the screen and it turns into their new ASR. Like, and then they have the nerve to put in it like in the tagline, like, nothing epic about it or something like.
It looks a lot like everything else, rides like nothing else, is what.
Something like that.
Yeah, that's what it's. Yeah, it looks like a Blur, Santa Cruz Blur, Epic Evo, like.
Allied BC, like, what the heck?
That's it though.
Like, if you, I get it. It works great. Like, I ride one, I love it, but I can't imagine that the Yeti rides way better than mine, or the Allied, or the Blur. Like, yeah, there's probably small, very minute differences, but to claim like you're going to be a world champion now because you go buy an ASR over an Epic Evo is like, oh my gosh, come on, I'm over it.
Well, see, Ryan, I'm going to take your negative and turn it into a positive.
Let's hear it.
Because now I know this won't happen because the component manufacturers will be finding ways to, keep the prices up. But we're pretty much at a point where like bike geometry for categories is pretty well leveling out. Like you want an enduro bike, here's a 64-degree head angle and a chainstay between 440 and 448 and 160 to 170 rear travel, 170 front. Here's your enduro bike. Nobody's going slacker, longer, like we're pretty well leveled out. Cross country bike, hey, cross country is a little more rowdy these days. Here's a bike with a 66 to 67 degree head tube angle, 115 rear, 120 fork, maybe 110. Go ride. Like I'm hoping the hope is that some companies like, yep, that's how it is, and we're gonna make this same frame for like a decade.
Sure.
And just keep bringing the price down because you know what? It works. It's good. We don't need to change the geometry because we've done it. We've been way steeper. We've been slacker. We know what happens when you do those things.
But Clint,
Now it's going to be the components manufacturing that's going to kill stuff.
No, it's going to be still the frame manufacturers. You're looking at this as a consumer, and you think that they care.
I know, but you would think there'd be some company out there that is like, hey, I bet we could, do some economies of scale for the first time in mountain biking to bring prices down.
I don't think so. I think I like where I don't think so.
No, you're correct. Absolutely right, man.
Like that doesn't bother me, Clinton. It's the fact when they claim like they invented the wheel. Like you just copied the bike that has been winning everything. Specialized's been winning everything. Yeti, you copied their bike and claim it as like you invented the wheel. Wrong. Sorry. Like you didn't.
Yeah, but all of this is.
But all but it's a degree slacker, Ryan, so it's different.
Oh my gosh.
Well, and that's the thing though, is that like, let's be honest, guys. Single pivot bikes with flex days is nothing new. Like literally every frame manufacturer, including Gary Fisher and Trek, has been doing this for 20 years. You know what I mean? Like the Superflies, all those bikes, including the Blur, including like all those have all just been single pivot. They're all just single pivot flex day bikes, and they have been forever. But the geometry is the difference now, and I think that's it. Is that because your Epic Evo is very different geometry wise than what the new Epic Evo is, or even the new Epic. The new Epic is slacker, longer, lower, more progressive geometry than your Epic Evo was by a considerable margin. And that's what you're choosing now. You're choosing what brand do you want to represent as a consumer? What fits your personality, your riding characteristics? Like what is important to you? That they're trying to capture branding so that now if you're a Yeti guy and you've been a Yeti guy, you always loved Yeti, but they didn't have the bike that fit the riding you wanted to do, aka cross country racing. Now they do, and now you can continue to be a Yeti guy and race cross country. Whereas before you would have your two other Yetis, but now you had to ride an Epic because that was the only bike that was available for those races that you wanted to do. And it's the same thing with Clinton's flat pedal thing. It's not that anybody's manufacturing better flat pedals than anybody else. It's that now
you stole my rant.
Well, but that's it though, is that all they're doing is they're just creating an avenue for you to continue to support the brand that you're attached to, whether it be Raceface or Deity or whoever it is. Like I like Deity pedals. I like that it says Deity on it. They're made in the same factory, I bet, as most of the other pedals. But I like Deity as a brand. Same with Santa Cruz. I've always loved Santa Cruz. I feel super cool that I get to ride a Santa Cruz now, that it worked out for me. But, Santa Cruz, in my opinion, is the pinnacle of mountain bikes. And they always have been. When I was riding trucks and, Specialized and everything, I always wished I could have been in a Santa Cruz. And so I feel awesome that I get to ride one now. But that's what it is. I forget who it was. Well, it was the Canadian mountain bike movie folks. But they said, remember when they said, pick a wheel size and be a dick about it? It's the same thing with branding. Like, just pick a brand, be a dick about it. Like, that's your brand now. Like, it's all the same.
So I'm not brand loyal. I could care less what stickers on it. I mean, obviously, I ride for Granada, so I like to ride a bike that they sell. But I'm not brand loyal. Like, Yeti, if you want to send me this bike, I will give you my honest to God feedback on how it compares to my Epic Evo. Looking at the specs, Kyle, it's not that different. I'm not going to go in on it than I am my 2-year-old Epic Evo. I mean, and they want 14 grand for it. The new Epic isn't that different. Like, could it pedal better? Yes. Send me one. I'll test it. Or how about this? How about this, bike manufacturers? Start investing back in your demo days so that I can test one and maybe I will buy one. But I can't see on paper where you're going to get me to spend $14,500 to go from a 2-year-old Epic Evo to the new Epic. Like, not happening. So,
Ryan,
my goodness, 14. It's cheaper to be a motocrosser than a hardcore cross country racer.
So I hate that comparison, and we go through it all the time.
I know.
But I'm with you. I just bought a Husqvarna fuel injected motorcycle, fuel injected, oil injected, computer driven, suspension, closed cartridge suspension, like full deal, like as nice as you can get, with a title and registration available for less than wholesale cost for that bike out the door.
Right. I mean, like, I get it. I'm not like, I get it where these high-end bikes are cost-wise. Like, that still doesn't make sense to me, but I understand that if you want that high-end bike, you have to spend that money. I get that, but
they'll sell out. They'll sell every one they make.
Jack that price up $3,000 over my bike that 2 years ago is insane to me. So
they'll sell every last one of them.
Anyway, last point on this rant, because it just popped up in my Facebook feed this morning and I sent it over. I'm like, this is perfect for what we're going to pod on. And talking about copycatting, in the motorcycle industry, 15 years ago, a product called D30 Armor came out. And if you guys are familiar with it, it's that orange stuff. And when it's flexible, it molds with your body, it moves with your body, but it takes an impact and then it has memory, so it comes back. That came out. It even has been in the bicycle industry for I don't know how long, Kyle. How long has D30?
15. Dude, I've been riding.
I remember hearing about it when I knew nothing in college.
Right around
oh man, I've been riding 661 Evo knee pads with D30 inserts in them since like 2011. I love that material.
Yeah, it's awesome stuff. And don't get me wrong, I love Alpine Stars. I wear Alpine Stars dirt bike. I think they're a cool brand. I think they're a cool company. I wear their boots, their pants, jersey on my dirt bike. I'd even probably wear some of their mountain bike gear. It's cool stuff. I don't, but I probably would. I'm not. But they came out with an ad this morning that is literally red D30 Armor and claiming it like they invented the wheel again. And I'm like, why can't you just come out and say this is the same thing, we just colored it red and it's this great protection? Why do you got to say, oh, we invented the wheel on this, and make people think that you come out with something new that's been out for 15 years?
Because red is way better than orange. Duh. I'd rather wear red than orange.
I'm just the copycat thing and then claiming it as your own.
Yeah, well, this is a great time to announce something totally unique from World's Okayest Manufacturing, new flat pedal and stems.
The nice thing about stem marketing is that I've yet to see somebody release a stem and make any claims at all about how it's going to change anything compared to what you're riding now.
Well, that's a good point.
It's refreshing to say, hey, this is our stem, and it's not. They're not trying to sell you on it. They're just like, if you like our stuff, now you can have a stem from us, which is all that is.
Yeah.
Side note, totally gonna mess up the podcast here, but Ryan, Kyle said something, and I've noticed this is a motorcycle thing. Okay. Why is it? I know why it is, but I'll ask you. Have you ever noticed that it's only the people riding Austrian bikes, so KTM, Husky, Gas, that ever talk about what is inside their forks?
Yeah, it's because they know they suck.
Because they suck. You've never been at a motocross race where the Kawasaki, Yamaha, Honda, Suzuki riders are like, yeah, my forks have such and such cartridge or whatever. Like, nobody even knows. We're just like, I don't know, came with Showa, came with KYB. If you don't like it, take it to Pro Action or whoever and get a little revalve and it's good to go. Like, we never talk about the internals of our forks ever, or our shocks. But the KTM guys, the guy who I don't think he won last year, maybe he did. He won the Missouri State Hare Scramble Series a couple years, was telling me the other day, I got these forks and they're spring with air assist, and bud, you can't even bottom them out if you don't want to, blah blah blah. And I'm like, great, like that's great. Mine are stock, they're bone stock. I've only had a revalve done in all my years of riding dirt. I started racing when I was 11. I'm 35 now. I've had a suspension revalved twice ever on my motorcycles, and one of them, to be honest with you, I had a revalve bike, I had a bone stock bike from the same year, and there really wasn't much difference. Now, the old KX100 days, when I weighed like 130 and I was riding a KX100, made a huge difference, but I'm just like, well, that's great. Either always selling forks, buying new whole forks, like,
Well,
it's
that's
only the KTM riders. That's it.
Kyle's new bike has their new updated fork, which I hope for Kyle's sake is way better than the garbage WP stuff they've had since the beginning of dirt bike time, because they do have a new fork. So Kyle is pumped on that, and I think that's the reason that he steered towards the
They can't even make them work at the highest level. Chase Sexton's got KYB internals in his WP forks. Like, what the heck?
I saw that.
That's terrible.
Yep.
You'd think they'd have this figured out by now. It's not like they're a new company. It's been around forever.
So to Clint's point, though, like my last bike, I paid a pretty good chunk of money to have a really reputable suspension tuner tune my forks, and they did feel way better. So like untuned versus retuned, night and day difference. Like it felt way better. However, my bone stock Husky with the brand new stuff that is just all it is catch up to what KYB's been doing for 20 years, I imagine. But it's very, very good. It's better than my tuned stuff. It actually feels wonderful. I couldn't believe how much better the new bike felt in every way imaginable than my old bike that I have a ton of time invested into cleaning up and refreshing. Like we put a lot of energy and effort and parts into that bike, and for it to feel way better than it did. But man, the new Husky is so much better in every way.
Well, I just think it's funny because like Yamaha figured out in like 2006, maybe 2008, their triple S, speed sensitive, whatever fork that they started advertising back then. It was 08 at the latest, and they have been running that same fork on their production stuff since then, and people still, like, almost every shootout, best suspension, Yamaha. Like, same for the last 18 years or whatever, or 16, I don't even know what it's going on now, but still, that's pretty impressive. Anyway, we don't have to.
That was a great observation, Clint. Hey,
well,
I want Kyle to talk about real quick. Is I don't think we've potted since he built up his bike.
Definitely, we have not. Yeah. Go ahead, Kyle.
So new bike is a 2024 Santa Cruz Bronson CC that I pretty much just tore down and rebuilt the way I wanted it. And it took, just like any new bike. So you got to realize, so I rode Trek Remedies forever, and then I rode Stump Jumper Evos for I think 3 years straight. And then now this is my first time ever riding a modern BTT bike or owning a modern BTT bike. And so it took a lot of adjustments. I've never owned a coil shock before. I've had its Deb, so that was fairly easy to tune in. But the suspension in the rear, I've never run Maxxis tires ever on anything. At least I haven't in the past like 8 years. And so it took a bit of adjusting. The first ride on it, I got to say I was frustrated because of how slow the bike was. But it was a very traditional XC trail ride with people on XC trail bikes in a much higher level of fitness than me. And I'm slogging through the woods on a 36-pound Enduro, right smasher. And so
you've got max grip downhill tires on there too, which that was probably your biggest issue, really.
Yeah, no, it felt awful. It was so frustrating. And it started feeling better. So I made some adjustments to the bike, the suspension, the shock, just everything on after that ride. And then it felt pretty decent at the pre-ride that me and you did, and I made some more adjustments to it, cockpit adjustments, stuff like that, just to kind of get it dialed back into where I wanted the controls again. And then by the second stage on race day, the bike felt incredible. I couldn't believe how much better the coil shock felt at pace. Like, I've never had a bike that I thought felt unsettled. I thought, this bike just doesn't feel stable over the rough stuff. I mean, that Stump Jumper Evo I had, especially in the 2020 or in the 2929 format, was just incredibly fast. But now that I've got the VPP bike with the coil on it, man, the faster you go, the more stable it feels. Like, I've never had a bike that felt so stable yet so light underneath me at race speed. And the tire setup is actually really, really good. I was able to dive into some corners harder than I normally would, just because of throughout the day, the trust of the tires got better. But all around, I mean, the bike felt absolutely awesome. The coil shock was absolutely the move. Now that I'm in a position where I can keep a XC trail bike around, I'll probably always have a coil bike. And then the hubs felt good. I've always been a DT Swiss hub guy for the past like 4 years now, and I've always really liked them. But those new 1-to-1 Industry 9 hubs are fast. Like, I actually was very surprised at how much better they rolled than what I was expecting.
We can't hear you, Clinton.
Oh, I hit the wrong button. Tried to unmute myself. You need to put that bike in high mode and go pedal it around and see if that helps. Because I know you're getting a few pedal strikes pre-riding.
Yeah, I didn't get any pedal strikes during race day. And I think just that's me and really part of it, Clint, honestly, is part of me just being a hack from being rusty from not riding. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't like I was pedal striking at race speed. I was pedal striking climbing. You know what I mean? Just being dumb about my pedaling cadence. So I think part of it was just, me just being rusty from not being on the bike for so long. But I don't know. It felt really good. I'm probably, I don't know, maybe I'll change it. I don't know. It feels so good that it kind of doesn't matter. Because here eventually I'm going to have the new Epic Evo, and I'll just pull that off the shelf and go ride that whenever I want to ride something that pedals better.
Well, I should have a review coming up soon. I thought I'd have it done by now. I've got a lot of things coming. I've got, let's see.
Kyle, did you say you are getting?
I had some tires get lost in the mail, but they say I literally just got an email back from Vittoria saying that they are coming, and I got those new Vittoria inserts that look more Cushcore. So my plan was to swap inserts and tires all at once and do a review and see how they compare. But like I said, tires, the mail system screwed up. They've been lost in transit, but apparently Vittoria has reached out to USPS and they said, we know where they are. They are still in the system. They'll get there eventually. But I did find, Kyle, I'm glad you like the coil. I know the coil on my bike works very well, but the problem I'm having now is I swapped coil shocks and found out that 450-pound springs are not all created equal across brands, and went from the Fox to the RockShox, which certainly on bigger hits, harder impacts, this RockShox has been much better with that hydraulic bottom out and things like that. But the 450-pound spring, it's just too stiff. Like, the 450 on a Fox was fine. The 450 on the RockShox, I cannot get safely, even kind of probably have it too looser than they recommend, and I still can barely get like 26% sag. So I'll have another review coming soon. I might even do a podcast if you guys can't, just by myself reviewing all these products as soon as I can. I've got a spring dex coming that ranges from 390 to 430 pounds to try to get my spring rate right on that shock, because my bike, with only being able to get that much sag and that stiffer spring, I feel like I don't actually have the coil benefits right now. It feels more like the air shock would. But that's part of why I kept putting this podcast off this month, because I kept thinking, well, I'll have some things to review, and because of things out of my control, just just don't. They still haven't shown up. So, yeah, that'll be coming up in the future.
I got a bike build going.
You do?
Tell me
It's not
about
a road
it.
bike, is it?
No. I do love my new road bike. I know you guys can all make fun of me all you want, but
Road bikes are fast. Going fast is fun.
Going fast is fun, and it's a really fast road bike, so it's fun. No, my little guy Tucker, he's got that early rider, awesome little aluminum kids mountain bike, 16-inch wheels. Just awesome bikes. Kyle, I know you had one for your little guys, and
it's so good.
They're such great bicycles for little kids. They're super light because aluminum and good components on them, and I think all belt drive. Mine's belt drive, so you don't have the chain and the grease and all that. Like, it's just such phenomenal bikes. Anyway, they come just a standard raw aluminum color. That's the only way you can get them. And my kid just decided out of the blue because his buddy next door has an orange bike. Like, he wanted a cooler color. So I was like, well, all right, what color do you want? So he ended up, he wants gold, which of all things blew my mind. We spent the other night in the garage tearing his bike down to the frame. And I think my kid enjoys working on things just as much as he enjoys riding them. He just, probably like most of us, like, he loves turning in the garage with me. So I handed him wrenches and helped him break the bolts loose a little bit. And we started he took it all apart himself, other than I had to break the bolts loose. So that was super fun. And we got it off to Joey Capienza. If you guys are local, Joey's raced some enduro stuff. Just a cool kid. He just started his own business. He's a phenomenal welder, doing a lot of metalworking, fabrication stuff, and he does Cerakoting. So Joey's getting it sprayed probably as we speak right now, and he said he'll have it done for me tomorrow. So he's spraying it in a gold Cerakote. And then we're going to slap that thing back together. And I talked to Early Rider this morning. They're sending out some replacement decals, so they were pumped on it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they thought it was pretty cool. So anyway, I just thought that was a cool little experience to go through. Tuck likes building stuff. I probably am spending too much money getting this thing painted for him, but he thinks it's cool.
Yes.
So,
Yeah,
and
the
sweet, man.
He's a little dude. He doesn't grow, so he'll probably ride this bike till he's like. So.
I know I just got my kids 2 20-inch mountain bikes,
Awesome.
which are pretty sweet. They've got, I think they're either both. I think they both might be 8-speed. I know York's is a 8-speed, 1x8. His favorite color is orange, and he rides bikes. He likes to ride bikes, but he's not wild about it like his sister is. So I found a used bike. It's actually a Salsa, just because it was bright orange, and I'm like, that will matter more than anything else. And then Aspen, I was able to get her a Liv, it's a giant, but it's the STP 20-inch.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're very similar bikes. They're practically the same bike, but hers is sweet. Like, the rotors on that thing are like at least 160s. I haven't measured them. They're big.
Oh, it's
like
disc brake.
Yeah, they're both they're mechanical disc brake, both of them with the cable pull. But the brakes work, so that's great. But the rotors on that Liv are huge, and it's like this real pretty sparkly teal color. So she was pumped. I mean, she was out in the parking lot. Now, they really are a little too big for them. But they don't care. Like, they're just so excited. So Aspen's out there riding this bike. She looks like, I've got the seats completely slammed, and when they stand up, like, they're just barely clearing the seat on the pedal. But these should last us, I'm trying to get like 4 years out of these things.
Not a chance.
Not a chance? You don't
Not
think?
a chance. Not a chance.
How long do you think? You're cutting out, Kyle. Don't listen to Kyle, everybody.
So,
he got cut out.
Nope, not a chance. It depends. Listen, it depends on what your riding goals are. You'll be lucky to get 2.
I think that no. You think they barely can ride them right now? They're so little. Maybe 3. Surely I can get 3.
I'll give you 3.
Maybe you can get 3. So, but here's perspective. I have a 7-year-old that started riding a 24-inch when he was 6, and it was a little big. But now that he's 7, I thought that this 24-inch was going to be a 4-year bike. I figured I'd make it till 10. And you better believe that by the end of this summer, I'm going to be looking for a 26-inch frame to build up.
Oh, geez. Well, we'll see. At least I have a 26-inch in the basement I can ride. Put some knobby tires on it. And I don't know. I don't think my kids are right now. Neither one of them are as like when I was 5. I can remember. I can remember when I was 5. I was all about riding my bike, building jumps, like every day. I wanted to ride something with wheels and jump it. That was what I wanted to do all the time, all day, every day. These are different kids, and that's fine. So I don't think these bikes are going to get the abuse, and they're not going to worry as much about. Of course, these bikes are infinitely better than any bike I ever owned until I was a 28-year-old adult.
Oh, dude, I'm
literally,
so
these bikes are better. I never had a bike
bikes.
this nice as a kid. My bikes, probably you guys, I don't know. My bikes came from Walmart, and literally, I remember I had a bike that I begged for. It was a 20-inch just BMX style bike that had Kawasaki stickers on it from Walmart. It was a Huffy or something. And I remember jumping it, just riding around town. And I'm a kid. I'm like a 5th grader. And when I would land, the handlebars would literally bend in my hands from the impact from a 100-pound kid. Would bend the handlebars without crashing, just landed. So those were the kind of bikes I grew up with. These kids, they don't even know how spoiled they are. But honestly, what's a bike at Walmart cost these days? Still be $150, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well I just got a used one for $200 that's miles better.
A legit
and it works. Yeah. The brakes work. It shifts. Making sure it shifted right. Shifts perfectly.
No, that's the thing though, too, man.
That.
I don't think that gets sold enough on kids' bikes. That people are, I'm not spending $500 on a kid's bike.
You don't have to. Go find a used one.
Listen, well, right, but that's it though. Is that some people scoff at spending $200 on a kid's bike? I mean, you people thought I was insane at the bikes that I've done for mine, but the thing is that if your kid wants to ride, they're gonna have a better experience on a nice bike, and if they're having a better experience, they're gonna want to ride more. So like Ryan, that too, man. You got nice bikes for Tuck, and it's if you want your kid to ride a lot, you got to get a bike that they feel comfortable and safe on, and then a bike they can be safe on, because we've all had setbacks. It takes one nasty spill to put a kid off a bike for 4 weeks. You know what I mean? It's it really, I can't overstate enough how much it's worth. If you want your kid to be a rider, how much it's worth to spend just whatever you can afford on getting your kid a nice bike. It's absolutely worth it.
Yeah, and I spent a good long time before I revealed this bike, and he didn't know he was getting one, explaining to my son that a bigger bike is safer because it doesn't wobble. That's how I explained it to him. So, on your little bike, you go down the hill and you start wobbling, I'm a bigger bike, just it's safer. Daddy's biggest bike's the safest bike he has. And once I got that through his head, he's like, oh, okay, that's good. I like the sound of that, Dad.
So that's good salesmanship on the pre-gift. Well done.
But he was actually, I didn't expect a big reaction out of him, but when he saw it, and he saw that bright orange color, his eyes got big and he smiled real big and started clapping. I was like, all right, I did it. That's all. I did it.
That's the best, man.
Hey, Kyle, you got an event coming up, kids.
Oh, that's yeah. Right. No, yeah. Good plug, Ryan. Thanks for the lead in there. So our first, I guess, monthly family ride that we're doing out of Indian Camp Creek with St. Charles County Parks and Granada Cyclery is going to be, what is that date, Ryan? Is that April 3rd, the Tuesday?
Next Tuesday is April 2nd.
So yeah, Tuesday, April 2nd. So now we're kind of going to be weather pending. I don't know where everybody's at, but we've got a lot of rain down here, so we'll kind of have to see see what it looks like weather-wise, and then maybe make an adjustment kind of on the fly as we go. But yeah, so if you have kids that you're wanting to get into mountain biking, you're wanting to get into bike riding, or just being outside and doing anything besides being glued to a device or a screen, bring them out. And so it's a 5-mile loop. It's super easy. There is no climbing. There's no hills. There might be a stick or a rock occasionally, and then a route here or there, but it is an easy ride. There's bailout points at 1 mile, 2 miles, 3 miles. And then after that, we'll play at the playground for 15, 20 minutes and then head back to the car. So the ride goes from like 6 to like 7:30 or so. And it's fun. It's really easy. So if your kids are a little ripper, a little shredder, they're going to be bored. And that's okay. But maybe they can come and kind of tee them up as, hey, we're going to help the little guys have a good time. Mac ride seats are good. The only caveat is that you have to have kids that can pedal and brake. So it is in the woods. It's on unpaved trails. They ride like a paved trail. They're just smooth dirt trails. They're easy to ride. But yeah, no, hopefully everybody can come out. Ryan, are you guys going to try to make a couple of those this year?
Yeah, for sure. Gonna try and definitely make next Tuesday.
Awesome.
Don't have any work-wise I got to travel for, so yeah, definitely gonna make it out next Tuesday. So
I might
on
even
Tuck
just try to
Sweet
make
Gold
one
new
of
bike.
these.
sorry.
So on Tuck Sweet new gold bike.
That's right. Yeah.
My kids,
Clint,
when they got their new bikes, were begging yesterday morning to go to the pump track. They still
Yeah.
remember the pump track from when they were like 3.
Dude, let's go.
And if I can swing it, that might be a good Tuesday day. Come up, go there, and then go up. I mean, it'd be a long day for them, but
pack lots.
I think them hanging out, seeing other kids ride and stuff, they would really like that. I know my daughter would for sure. Like, she'd be into it.
That's what's fun, is that it's a really non-intimidating ride because the ride is so easy and there are so many little tiny kids there. Like, my plan is to have my 3-year-old pedal it, if it gives anybody a perspective. He rides well. He's very comfortable on a bicycle. But my goal is to not have Cam on my Mac ride, is to have Cam actually pedaling and riding the whole trail on his bike by himself. He might Mac ride this first one just because he's never been out there yet. And we'll see, but I want to get him out there for a day just to see if he can do it. But I think he'd pedal around it just fine. But that's the nice thing, is that when kids show up and they see other little tiny kids there, Cam will be the smallest one there pedaling for sure. And it's super open. It's not intimidating. It's a nice, easy ride. We had up to 50 people, I think, was the biggest one we had. That's adults and kids, but it was, if there's 50 people there, there's probably 35 kids. And it's a super fun event. They get a little bit bigger as we get out of school and stuff. The first few will probably be 15, 20 or so.
Okay. Well, we're coming up on an hour of recording here, so I think we should wrap this up. Now, I do want to say to our listeners, if you made it this far, I'll probably put this at the beginning when I edit, and we didn't talk about anything you care about. That is your fault, because we're always asking for feedback, for topics. You're not going to annoy us with your requests at all. We like that stuff. So if you want our take on something, or you want us to research something maybe we know nothing about, I'll put in the time. But you've got to let us know. And you can do that through our Facebook page, Facebook World's Okayest Mountain Bike Podcast. You can email us at okayest, OKAYEST, MTB @gmail.com. If you know our names and you know us personally, just send us a message. Like, we don't care. We want
or catch me at a race and say something, because these boys don't
we
race.
want to give the people what they want. We just don't know what that is.
Hey, Kyle, I'll be racing in 2 weeks. All right.
What's your first race this season?
Lost Valley.
Oh, is it the Luau?
Luau's the 14th. Yeah.
I gotta look and see. There's a chance. I'm trying to figure out what. I think I have another event that whole weekend. I can't remember what it is though.
Well,
Maybe
last plug. Oh, sorry, Kyle.
Maybe I'll race single speed. I don't have an XC bike, and I'm not slogging that Bronson through the woods. Maybe I'll race
Big hitters class, bro. Big hitters class.
Oh God,
Or see if somebody will loan you an e-bike, dude. They got an e-bike class this year.
Oh, do they for the Luau?
That'd be fun, man. You'd love that.
I'm so afraid. I don't want to drink the Kool-Aid.
I don't blame you.
Don't do it. Speaking of e-bike, I'll probably be down at Sorry, Kyle, I keep cutting you off.
No,
Just say-
as soon as I can taste that and I know what that's like, as much as I hate climbing and like having to be fit to ride, I'll just get an e-bike and I'll never do it again. And I'm serious. Like I've been avoiding it. It's not like I don't buy a new bike every year. I've been avoiding it for years now because I'm just not willing to commit to being an e-bike guy full time. And I know as soon as I have one, I'll have no reason to ride anything else. And I don't want to be there. Like I like having different bikes. I like riding different things. I like having options. I just can't. I'm not willing to commit to being a full-time e-bike guy yet. I do plan on getting my wife an e-bike because I think she would enjoy riding more with an e-bike. And now that they're down to 40 pounds or so, I want to try to get her. I'm hoping Juliana starts making an e-bike and I can get her into one of those.
Well, I'll do a final plug here. If you have not been to Shepherd Mountain lately, the jump line, Chris Pinuel recapped the whole thing, and it is honestly, I think it's better than it was when the place opened. I don't know how he did it, but he reshaped like the tabletop hip that it looks steep right now, but it doesn't buck you. So it's not actually that steep, but it just looks like it. And it is perfect. I mean, smooth, all the rocks are covered up. That won't last forever. You know, erosion happens, but I'll be down there tomorrow working on Cannonball, trying to get that thing, you know, rideable again without such a high level of stress to get down it. There's some changes being made at Shepherd here coming on, and you know, next Missouri Enduro Series race is there on the 21st. And I and some others, we're going to make sure that it's running really well. Some of the trails definitely need a little TLC right now, but it's being actively worked on. So it's definitely coming out of its winter hibernation and running really well, especially, like I said, mine shaft into the jump line. You know, if you haven't been in a while, there's an easy double. You don't have to double. It's totally rollable, pumpable. You're not going to case it into a berm now into the cannon jump. So like if you've never done the cannon because you never felt comfortable going around that loose rock corner and then pedaling out of it to hit it, it's now if you hit the double, clear the double before it, smash the berm. I've done it with absolutely no pedals after that and made it fine. Sometimes I still take a crank just for ease of mind, but Shepherd is running really good right now. So if you haven't been in a while, get down there.
Nice.
All right, well, that's it, everybody. We're going to stop recording and get on with life here. And like I said, hit us up. Let us know what you want us to talk about. And if you see us on the trails and realize it's who we are, we like to talk. We're social. We are not we are not cool guys. We don't cool guy anybody. And if we even tried to, we'd look stupid doing it.
Pretty cool.
So we're not going to.
We do need. I know Lauren's busy, Kyle, but we do need a logo.
I know. I was actually just thinking that because I just found a jersey company that does jerseys locally that has a 10-piece order, and they're actually pretty cool and they're really affordable. And so I was thinking we need to okay us mountain bike podcast jerseys.
Hey, what if I try to ask an AI to design us one?
Yeah, go for it.
And see what happens.
Go for it. Go for it and see what happens. Yeah.
I think I'll try that. It might look hilariously goofy, which means we'll probably use it.
Which may be perfect. Yeah. But I do think like for just local trail rides, like I think we need to have a jersey. That'd be cool. You know. I need an XC jersey though with pockets, guys. Right.
Yeah. All right, guys. I'm gonna do this logo thing here as soon as we get off. So thanks for listening, everybody, and have a great day.